Good evening, my name is Joshua Johnson. I am the DM for the Firewater Chronicles. So this is the first of 3 recap videos. We will be recapping the first 8 sessions in this video specifically. I just wanted to kind of get some of the main points out there and get you guys caught up so that when we start releasing the actual sessions, which will be starting your Season 1, Episode 1, will really be Session 30 for us. So there's 29 sessions of information that you guys need to get caught up on, or little bits and pieces that are really important. So I got to sit down and interview all 3 of our characters for the campaign who are part of the Dark Knights. And so we're going to get interspersed with my recap of the details. We're going to get to hear some of their opinions on the events that happened. So without further ado, I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Right, well, my name is Physt. I am a Varagon shapeshifter, born and raised in the jungles there on Varagon. Before the Dark Knights, I was kind of doing my own thing. Without going too much into it, I've been cursed by my elders to find my parents. If putting a lid on that, but traveling to different realms and studying, researching different relics going missing from temples.
My name is. That's actually more complicated than you might think. I go by Ondine Yafa, and prior to meeting the rest of the Dark Knights, don't know exactly. I wasn't really doing much. I came over from Relsian and ended up in Aluelian.
My name is Tyren. I was... How to describe what I was doing? Running away, I think, would be the best descriptor for that. My companion was being hunted, and who is still being hunted, and we were avoiding prying eyes.
So now that you've gotten to meet our 3 characters, they had some pretty interesting things that they were doing before becoming the Dark Knights. So initially, when I was designing the campaign, I wanted to start with this home-based city that they could kind of name as their point of origin where they could all meet up and everything. So I built Katana, which is a trading post on the South Aluelian trade line. It is a smaller village. There's not a lot of people that live there, but that doesn't mean that it's not busy, and there's a lot of traffic that comes through there. So they all had various reasons for coming to Katana specifically, and why they ended up in that place in particular. What brought you to Katana originally?
Oh, nothing in particular. It was the next city in a long string of towns and mud holes that we were hiding in and trying to earn money in.
Because I heard about this really cool cloak of restoration and the temple there, and so I just thought I'd go check it out, and in my journey to find good in the world, and that's when I met Declan, and then in turn met Tyren, and then Physt because he was up in a tree, and yeah, that's basically it.
I heard that the Katana temple, whatever the name of it was, had recently lost their mantle of resurrection, or whatever it was called. And it just so happened that I'd been to 3 other temples that had the same situations where their relics had gone missing. So I was curious to see what the reasoning might have been, or why they went missing in the first place. And then I found out that, it was stolen, and then I helped kind of go from there.
Clearly they were all in Katana for very interesting and varying reasons, but they ended up meeting each other and becoming this group that they didn't have a name at first, but completed some bounties and went around Katana. And they met a lot of really interesting people. So like Declan, who is the leader of the Temple of Darka in Katana, or Kalina, who owns Kalina's Tavern, or like the leader of the guard, Captain Tomas. There was also Sagittarius, like a mystic psychic person, and Lucian, like this crazy magician. And so they got to interact with a lot of new people and kind of get a feel for what Katana was like through those interactions. So while you were in Katana, you met a lot of interesting characters. What were your closest relationships, or who did you enjoy spending time with the most?
Well, I would say that Violetta was a fantastic source of company. I was tasked with protecting her, it was not very long into my stay, by her mother, and she is fantastic. In many ways, very enjoyable to be around.
I mean, this is a lot of months ago, but I would say I knew Indigo already. She was from my hometown, so I knew her. So I connected with her a little bit.
I mean, to be fair, several of them ended with people dead. I met them in interesting ways, I suppose. That was interesting. Declan's a pretty cool guy, and I didn't kill him. He's actually a good guy. He helps me out a lot. And I'd never met anybody with the horns before, so that was pretty interesting.
There was a like a scrying witch lady, Shadonna or something like that. I don't know. Her name was. But she was really interesting. She had this foresight ability or something. I think she'd be the most interesting if you were going to put a finger on it.
But then we met Karis. I suppose Karis should be added to the list. We became like besties.
The main bounty that they ended up pursuing in Katana was trying to retrieve this Cloak of Restoration, a relic that had been stolen from the temple. This didn't go as planned, and so they went into kind of a research to try to figure out what they could figure out to try to track it down later. And in the process, they ended up meeting Amorphia, a Feymancer scholar from the temple, who then took them to the library, and they began to look for some research that would be really helpful in their investigation. Unfortunately, while they were at the library, they ended up running into Mariah Andrema, a old nemesis of Tyren's in sorts, and a person who recognized Ondine's character. And so that kind of arose some tensions really quickly in the library and escalated much quicker than initially expected. So one of the most prominent events that happened while you guys were in Katana is Tyren stabbed Mariah Andrema in the library.
Yeah.
What was that situation like?
I mean, it was a poop show. That's what it was. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I thought there'd be more conversation to happen, and then nope, there she was, knife in her back, and yeah, I was very frustrated.
I think seeing her it scared me, because I know she is close with Maxine, and Maxine was the one who was hunting my companion. Her being close and all, I panicked.
This is how it went down, as far as I'm concerned. I was minding my own business, finding a book, because we're in the library, and then a big bad commotion goes on, and then next thing you know, I'm talking down the librarian who's climbing on the walls, and then Tyren's apparently killed somebody, or whatever.
And I'd like to think I'm a fairly patient person, but that moment definitely got the better of me. Not so much Mariah as Tyren. I've dealt with manipulative people who, like, say cryptic things and do all that, and so I was prepared. The whole, like, reckless stab you business, that recklessness is not something I'm as familiar with, so kind of caused me to want to go a little bit reckless on him post the event, especially since I didn't know him very well.
And I'm pretty sure there was a duchess there or something.
We met, like, a princess lady, and Tyren, of course, pissed her off, like, within 5 seconds of meeting her. I think we resolved that. Probably not, if we're being honest. Turns out when you murder people in front of them, they're not too keen on it. But she was interesting for the 5 minutes.
In addition to all of this other stuff, the group ended up running into a cult of Ravana in the underground of the city, which they began to disassemble with the assistance of one of the cult members. And also, their final combat in Katana before they left was against a bunch of Nalail forces that had risen up from the Nalail realm and had begun to black out the city in magical darkness. And so they ended up going to the city hall where they were kind of holing up and barricading themselves, and then ended up fighting them in pitch black darkness, which didn't go as well as they really hoped. Before leaving Katana, you had a combat against the Nalail while you were in the town hall. Do you want to talk about that?
It was, they had like magical darkness. We tried to get around that, and we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit.
Not well. There was a magician, I presume there still is a magician in Katana, unless his experiments have done him in, that gave us some spell pages for helping us see in the dark. It did not help us see in the dark. And we didn't pay for the pages, but nevertheless, I want my money back.
Me and Tyren had a hard time of it. And I guess Ondine was having a rough day at that time. She didn't actually have like radiant spells at that point, so she was struggling a lot.
Yeah, I was useless, so that was infuriating. Like, literally, my mistakes did more damage than my actual efforts. That's pretty much the moment I realized I need to diversify my abilities. Because literally, when everything you do does 0 damage, you might as well just join their team, put on their jersey and say, which way's the goal? Because, boy, that was... I'd say I'd try to punch something, but I would have missed, because literally that's what was happening. Couldn't even hit with a bow.
I've shapeshifted for the first time in front of them. I think I actually did die, technically. I think I passed out. I think that was the first time in a long time that that's happened, so it's a bit scary and intimidating, but we did win.
Lucian's poppycock magic worked better than I did, which is saying a lot, because like 60% of the time his spells fail. I mean, let's go. It got us into that situation in the first place. Dork vision? Who comes up with dork vision? Come on, Lucian. Get it together. Anyway, needless to say, it was the worst. And I don't feel like we ever really need to speak about it again.
My ending thought in preparation for the next recap is one of the important NPCs that they met during this time was Karis, who will become a much bigger piece throughout the campaign, and developed a lot of character development with her and a lot of character development within the group as they began to head out from Katana towards Roma. So, good for you. You were caught up on the recap of the first 8 sessions of the Firewater Chronicles.